Hello everyone, Professor Piggy here. Today, we're gonna master the art of staying cool. And nope, I'm not talking about looking stylish. I'm talking about keeping your computer's brain from having a total meltdown. So let's dive right into computer cooling. You totally know what I'm talking about, right? You're deep into a game, or maybe you're editing a video, or you just have way too many tabs open. All of a sudden, your computer gets warm and starts whirring like it's about to take off. Well, that's not a glitch. That's actually the sound of your computer doing some serious work. See, every single electronic part inside turns electricity into work and, well, a whole lot of heat. And all that heat has to go somewhere. To make this super simple, I want you to picture your computer's processor, its brain, the CPU, as our star athlete, a piggy running a marathon. Every single calculation it makes is like another step in a long race. And just like any marathon runner, the harder our piggy works, the hotter it gets. And if it gets way too hot, it either has to slow down or stop completely, just to avoid getting hurt. So, what's the very first thing our poor, exhausted piggy athlete needs after all that running? A big, cool towel to drape right over its head, of course. Something to just pull that heat away and give it some instant relief. This towel, folks, is our first line of defense against a total piggy meltdown. Now, in the real world of computers, that cool metal towel is called a heatsink. It's this specially designed block of metal, usually it's aluminum or copper, and it sits directly on top of the CPU. Its one and only job is to be that cool towel, to pull heat directly away from our hardworking little piggy. The real magic of the heatsink is all in its design. It's not just some flat chunk of metal. See all those little fins? They are a huge deal because they dramatically increase the surface area. So heat gets pulled from our piggy's head and then spreads out across all of these fins, exposing it to the cooler air that's inside the computer case. This whole process is called passive cooling, because it works without any moving parts at all. Pretty clever. Okay, so our piggy has its cool towel. That's a great start for sure. But, if you've ever been really hot, you know that a little breeze makes all the difference in the world. It just whisks that heat away from the towel, which lets the towel absorb even more heat from you. Well, it's the exact same idea inside your computer. And where does that breeze come from? You guessed it, a fan, or more likely a few fans working together. This is the active part of our cooling team. So while the heatsink is just sitting there, passively soaking up heat, the fan is actively moving air to get that heat out of the system for good. These fans basically work together to create a little wind tunnel right inside your computer case. You've got intake fans that pull cool, fresh air in from the front or the bottom. That cool air flows right over our heatsink, grabbing all the heat that the fins have spread out. Then you've got exhaust fans that push all that now hot air out the back or the top. It's this constant life-saving cycle. Cool air in, hot air out. So we have our piggy runner and our cool metal towel, the heatsink. They're touching, right? So the heat should just transfer? Well, not quite perfectly. See, on a microscopic level, both of those surfaces have these tiny, invisible gaps and imperfections. And those gaps are filled with air. Here's the problem. Air is a terrible conductor of heat. So how do we get that heat to bridge the gap?
We need a secret ingredient. For our piggy, this would be like a special cooling gel that we'd put on its skin to make sure there's perfect contact with the towel, leaving absolutely no hot spots behind. This gel, it's the critical bridge that makes this entire system actually work.
In your PC, this magic gel is called thermal paste, or sometimes thermal compound. It's this gooey substance that you apply right between the CPU and the heatsink, and its entire job is to fill in all those microscopic imperfections, all those tiny air gaps, and create a perfect, unbroken connection for heat to travel across. And believe me, this is absolutely vital. Without this paste, you get what the experts call superheated pockets of air trapped right between the processor and the cooler. So the heatsink could be ice cold, but if the heat can't actually get to it, well, our piggy is still in some serious trouble. And you know what's crazy? Applying it is surprisingly simple. You just need a clean surface, a single pea-sized dot of the paste right in the middle of the CPU, and then you just attach the heatsink. The pressure from attaching it does all the work, spreading the paste into a perfect ultra-thin layer. You really don't need much. In fact, using too much can actually make things worse. But what about extreme performance? I mean, what if our piggy isn't just running a marathon anymore? What if it's an Olympic-level powerlifter, pushing its limits to the absolute max? A towel and a little breeze just aren't going to cut it. For the ultimate cool down, our piggy needs to jump straight into a swimming pool. And that swimming pool, in the computer world, is liquid cooling. Instead of just air, these advanced systems use a special liquid that gets pumped through a block sitting on the CPU. The liquid absorbs the heat, carries it away to a radiator, which looks a lot like the one in your car, where fans cool the liquid back down. Then it just cycles back to do it all over again. This is really for those high-end gaming computers and for people who are overclocking and need every last bit of performance. So, which one's better? Well, as you can see, it's really a trade-off. Air cooling is super simple, it's reliable, and honestly, it's perfectly fine for most computers out there. Liquid cooling, on the other hand, gives you that ultimate performance and can even be quieter, but it's way more complex and definitely more expensive. It all just depends on how hard you're going to push your Piggy. All right, let's do a quick recap of our entire cooling team. The CPU is our Piggy runner, doing all the hard work. The heatsink is that cool metal towel, spreading the heat out. The fan is the breeze, moving all that hot air away. And the thermal paste, that's our critical cooling gel, making the connection between the Piggy and the towel. See? They all have to work together in perfect harmony. So if you remember just one thing from today, make it this. You can have the biggest, most expensive heatsink and the fastest fans in the world, but without that tiny, inexpensive little layer of thermal paste making the connection, the entire system is useless. It is the single most important and honestly, the most often overlooked part of the entire cooling process. And there you have it. From a marathon running Piggy all the way to that magic thermal gel, you now know the secrets to keeping a computer cool. So next time you hear your computer's fan spin up, you'll know exactly what's happening inside. The towel, the breeze, and that all-important gel, all working together. Congratulations, you're officially a cooling pro.